Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's second episode of how to defeat variant 1 Ultron's assault. We're looking at quest 2 in chapter 1, and as you can see this quest has 5 paths leading to boss, which is Ultron drone of mutant class. So this quest strangely has one less path than quest number 1, but it's still awesome, and this actually isn't too hard of a quest. So the paths in this quest are basically as follows. But before we get to the paths, let's look at the global node. Bane of Damalaya, or I can't pronounce it. Bane of Damabala. Bane of Dambala. Bane of whatever. The node basically does hardly anything. There's not too much to it. Basically, if you are having a beneficial effect buff on you, opponents gain 50% attack and 10% lifesteal. So don't get hit, you'll be fine. You're gonna hardly notice the node. So path number 1 out of 5 is dulled on it. This path is kind of like a mini path. It only has 2 specific fights on it. So largely when you're going to be doing path number 1, you're actually going to be dealing with path number 2 node, which is Burden of Might. Now dulled is an annoying node. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you use champions that don't buff or debuff, or quite the contrary, that just debuff the hell out of everything, and then the fact that you can't crit doesn't matter anymore. But overall it's a fairly easy node combination to deal with. Now Burden of Might might be annoying just because you constantly keep losing your power if you trigger buffs, if you trigger dexterity, and you're gonna have like 4 or 5 fights like that. But we're gonna show again an easy cheese method how to deal with Burden of Might and kind of regular quests. If you can stun opponents, if your stun is impeded, if there's no limber on it, you can easily cheese any Burden of Might nodes in game. So that is going to be super easy. Now middle path is Spite, and you begin off with Domino, so that's always fun and interactive. We're going to be taking a look at Domino fight for a bit as well, but obviously as always with Spite, you do not want champions that naturally gain a lot of buffs. You do want to watch out for your dexterity, and Domino is a bit tricky champion to fight with. After Domino there's nothing difficult on that path, so that is one of the annoying fights that we're going to be taking a look at as well. Then we're going to be moving on to path number 4, which is Buffet path, and there are a few annoying fights on this one. First of all, it's Mephisto, because it is a stacked Mephisto and you're going to be dealing with a lot of incendiary damage and Buffet, so you have to be fairly careful with it. And also after Mephisto you have Buffet King Groot, which is fairly tricky and annoying to deal with just because of his regen constantly, so you're gonna basically have to out damage that Buffet, which can be tricky. I know it has stopped few people. And path number 5 is again kind of like a side path. There are only 2 unique fights on it, and it's electric fluctuations. Basically don't use robots and your buffs are gonna expire quicker, so it's dead simple fight. There's nothing kind of difficult about it. And boss has like vigorous assault on it, enhanced abilities, force of will, and basically only node that you kind of need to take a look at is Pilfer. That can pilfer your buffs and he can gain power. He has animations of Electro, but because he doesn't have level 3, Pilfer isn't even all that dangerous on this boss either. And basically it's just kind of like whether you are comfortable awaiting his level 2 attack. If you're not, then you just be careful of opponent's power and stick to baiting out level 1 attacks. If you do not have any problems with Electro's level 2, then you can completely ignore what power he has and just go to town with the guy. Now me personally, I have no problems awaiting Electro's level 2 at close distance. Sometimes when he launches it from far away, it still catches me, so overall I still prefer to bait out level 1 attacks. But yeah, that is about the nodes and the path. Now let's take a look at some fight examples. So first of all, let's take a look at Burden of Might. Now Burden of Might basically makes you lose a lot of your power every time a buff effect expires on you. However, it also lets you gain more power when striking opponent. Now as you can see here, we do not really gain any more power. However, once we trigger the Burden of Might once in a fight, we're going to be in an absolute power bonanza. So at this point, I'm just kind of trying to bait out at level 1. We're going to trigger Burden of Might, lose our power, and now Now we're going to be gaining huge chunks of power, so at this point the fight is sealed. We're going to launch Gambits level 1 and we can keep opponents stun locked for the rest of the fight. Super easy, barely an inconvenience, works on every single fight on this path. Definitely the easiest way to get through this quest for your initial completion, and basically just do an entire path with Gambit alone. So suicides obviously are not ideal for Gambit because you're spamming special attacks, so I'm using this fight just as an example. But yeah, if you want to use Gambit, do not, and I repeat, do not use Suicide Masteries. But as you can see in a fight, it's super simple. Just do a combo or do a 2-hit, 3-hit combo, another combo, level 1, rinse repeat. He's constantly stunned. You have nothing to worry about. This method works against every single Burden of Might opponent you can stun that doesn't have like Limber on him or something like that. And yeah, super simple way how to choose Burden of Might path. So off to the next fight, and that is going to be Mephisto on Buffet node. It's also really annoying matchup. Perfect counter for Mephisto, as always. Pretty much obviously is Blade. Even a 4-star Blade works. You do have to alter your playstyle a bit though, because you do not want to be hitting him a lot, because you do not want to be kind of dashing and running away from him. So largely you want to rely on your parries, like level 1 attacks. When he's shooting his level 1 at you, you preferably parry it, play some more bleeds in it. Do not trigger that Buffet, and don't give him many options to trigger his Aura of Incineration. And other than that, the fight is super simple. Just parry a lot, shoot special attacks, and don't trigger Buffet. There are obviously some other champions that can do this fight, but typically I'm kind of looking for solutions that can work at lower levels and ranks. And even a 4-star Blade handles this guy super easy, hardly a problem. Other than that, obviously it's just a Mephisto on Buffet. The problem is that he's stacked. If you have a stacked roster, I doubt you're gonna have problems anyways, but if you are kind of pushing your roster when clearing this content, then any sort of Blade will work for you, even to 4-star. And now let's take a look at another super annoying fight, and that is the King Groot on Buffet node. So, as we all know, King Groot is a super bulky, annoying champion that is also bleed immune. Quite few of skill and mutant characters rely on bleed, and that is definitely a huge hindrance, as well as the fact that he can shrug off your debuffs, and Buffet is going to give him some more healing, and he has his own healing, and overall it's just kind of fairly bad time. Now, the one and kind of obvious and simple answer for this dude is just basically you're gonna have to out damage the Buffet, and you're gonna have to out damage the region. So you can take in pretty much any high damage champion that you have at your disposal and try as hard as you can to out damage him. And pretty much the best option for this guy, like when I was clearing it anyways, was Winter Soldier, because Winter Soldier with Killmonger gets his like kind of Star-Lord-ish-esque synergy, and that does help his damage output greatly. So basically with a 5 or 6-star Killmonger synergy, this 5-star rank 3 Winter Soldier, once he reaches 100 hits, is gonna be hitting for 600% of his original attack value. But yeah, another like neat trip against King Groot is, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is to get hit on purpose by his level 1 while he has a Fury buff active, because that is going to place a permanent armor break on yourselves, and if you are running Willpower Mastery, that's going to continuously heal you up. And as you saw in this video, if you make a slip up with Winter Soldier, unfortunately you have to pretty much start all over again, just because your damage output is going to revert to your original damage output. In Winter Soldier's case, it isn't really all that great. Therefore, once you build up your combo, you're going to again start hitting harder and eventually out damage this King Groot. It is not overly difficult fight, it's just like an annoying one where you have to deal with a lot of regeneration, and because of King Groot's ability to shrug off debuffs and Buffet and all that good stuff, it's just fairly annoying to deal with him if you do not have the right counter. I have definitely seen some people stopped in their tracks on this node just because they cannot out damage King Groot. But yeah, if you have Winter Soldier and Killmonger, or pretty much any highly ranked champion, this fight might take you a while, but it isn't all that difficult. And once again, if you do remember to get that permanent armor break on yourselves, you can actually heal up in this fight. So There we go, and off to the next fight, and that is going to be Princess of Fun and Interactive Damage herself, Domino, with Spite. Now, my preferred way to deal with Domino when I'm using kind of lower ranked champions is simply take an Archangel. Now, my Archangel is only a rank 3 5-star in this case, so pretty much same as a 4-star. And as we know, Domino has a chance to shrug off or bleed debuffs. However, Archangel kind of like works around it. At this point, we are taking a full combo in our block on purpose, just to have some larger amount of poisons on her. It did take away most of our health as a rank 3 5-star. However, now we're gonna get an absolute bunch of neurotoxins on her, and she's gonna go down super quickly. Now, once again, there are many more champions that can deal with this fight. It's just Domino is an annoying champ to fight by itself, and then add Spite to it. That is often recipe for disaster. So quite often you want to use champions that have like strong heavy attacks, and you can keep the fight to the basics. And now lastly, we have arrived to the boss fight. And this boss is, once again, relatively easy one. He has Electro's animations, Electro's level 1 and level 2. He does not have level 3 available to him. However, what you do need to know is that he is super tanky. And you will want some champion that has high damage output that does not rely on bleed, because obviously Ultron's drone is a robot and you can't bleed him and you can't poison him. Therefore, you ideally want something like Winter Soldier with Killmonger's energy, or Aegon, or someone that can hit hard without needing to bleed the opponents. And aside from that, the fight's fairly simple. Only node you need to keep in mind is Pilfer Regeneration. That means every time you activate a buff, he has a chance to basically nullify that buff and gain a bunch of power. And that is important for a simple reason, that if you are kind of struggling to evade Electro's level 2, because it doesn't really matter, in a sense, if you can evade at level 2, it's perfectly fine, because he can't shoot level 3. So you can either play this fight super aggressive, dodge the level 2s, or play it a bit more conservative, check his power bar, and kind of keep him in between 1 bar of power and bait out his level 1s, because level 1s are fairly easy. You can outrange them. Only note there is that you do want to stick to 4-hit combos if he is past 1 bar of power, just because otherwise he might still clip you with his level 1 and you won't be able to get enough distance to get away from it. So the simple fighting tip there is, if he is past 1 bar of power, finish the combo with 4 hits. And aside from that, there's nothing special about this fight, and that is going to be pretty much it for today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I do hope this helps some of you to explore Variant Chapter 1, Quest 2, and obviously we're going to be following this up with a video about Quest 3 in Chapter 1, and then so on and so forth. But anyways, yeah, if you liked the video, if you enjoyed it, if you find it helpful, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, share it to your friends, share it with your alliance mates, share it with everybody, hit all the buttons, and I am going to see you guys very shortly. All the best. Have a nice day. Laters.